Yeah, we just do it easy. Little introduction, and yeah, we stream live in our Facebook group. We always have a couple of hundred views on that. Hello, 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 hello. How are you guys? Gene is here. Switch your camera on. I always love that, right? Glenn is here. Anthony, how are you? Jason. Jason is always an all-timer too, right? Gene is anyway an all-timer. Javier Garcia is here. Hey, Javier, how are you? Melinda. Oh my God, so many cameras because we have like VIP guests here today, right? And guys, welcome to our weekly Q&A session here on the Land Pilot. And I'm really thrilled today and I'm honored today, right? Because I have a special guest that is maybe not that much known in the land world yet, but we're going to change that because he's the master, the man, the moose, the legend in the real estate industry for seller negotiations, for all that kind of stuff that it takes to get good contracts. And he's a master of this art. He's a friend of mine. He's a mentor of mine, and I really love you with everything you do. Welcome, Jerry Green. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, my friend. Well, thank you very much, Robin. I appreciate you
Yeah,
having me on and greetings, everybody. So, hope everybody's
good to
doing
have
well.
you.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
before we kick that off and go in the weeds, because we want to talk sellers today, right? Like, how do you negotiate and what do you need to do, right? Give us a little bit of more info, Jerry, about yourself. Who are you? Because maybe a lot of folks don't know you yet, but just give us a brief background because I know it's more than impressive and you can just like hit a little bit on the bush here too, right? Like
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
do and
absolutely.
where you're from and all that good stuff, right?
Absolutely. Excuse me. So, name's Jerry Green. I actually live in Germantown, Ohio, which is really part of Dayton, Ohio area. So, lived there with my wife, and we have four kids, and of course they're all starting to get married and get engaged and kind of move on, but um, so yeah, so personal wise, that's where I live. We've been there for since early 2000s, and I also have been in the real estate business for just a couple years. I started in this actually first full year full time was 1994, so been doing it just a little bit.
Yeah, just a
A
little bit.
little bit.
1994, man, I was 8 years old then, right? So you're like an all-timer, right? Like that's what it is.
You know what's surprising on that, Robin? Actually, I get you see a lot of young guys too coming in the space and stuff, and a lot of them are like, "Man, that's the year I was born," or "I wasn't even born yet." So
I get that, man. It's
yeah,
2025, and I always think, man, like when you're born like 2001, you can meet one of these folks, and they're like 24 years old now, right?
yes, 100%. Yep.
That's
So
crazy.
it's so yeah, that's the year I got guys. I started in this business. I was actually living over in Springfield, Ohio at that time, and I moved into the business on a full time basis, and I started doing wholesaling actually right out of the gate. That was my main focus to start at going out. But I was, it was all single family type homes, single family duplexes, things like that. And so I started over there, started really kind of hitting the streets and started doing it. Prior to that, I was in electrical contracting business with my father, and this was an opportunity that I got kind of forced into. And I went to a seminar in Cincinnati, Ohio, many back there in the early 90s. I listened to a gentleman named Charles Gibbons. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of his name. Maybe Anthony.
Anthony
Okay.
knows, like he's an
Yeah.
OG, right?
I mean, literally, well, yeah, and he's since then has passed. But he was one of the original ones out there. So that's how I got started in this, and from there it just kind of got going. And of course, over the years, I've done a little bit of everything, kind of screwed everything up and made some money. And it's interesting how you develop this. But I started wholesaling. The next thing I know, it kind of evolved into the fix and flip model. I got going on that. We started doing a tremendous amount of fix and flips and grew that side of things. We probably done a little over 400 fix and flips over those years. So we did a pretty large volume of those. We moved into doing some multifamily. We were doing buying and holding properties as well, and got into dealing with some even some commercial with Family Dollar, General Dollar stores, working with partners on those. So when you're in it as long as I have been, you start to you kind of it's like you're at the buffet, right? You just want to sample this, you want to sample that, and you want to sample this. And that's what I've done over those years. But what's interesting is all the years of doing it, we've kind of evolved to the point where we went away from the fix and flip model on things, and really went heavier to just the wholesale side. But we added in, novations and more of the creative finance side of things too, with some sub twos, and that's where we've been doing that for quite a few years now. And we built it out, through a team. I have a lady that's been with me over 12 years. As my basically, she runs things on a day-to-day basis. She's my COO, runs that side. I'm located in Ohio. She's located in actually Colorado Springs. So she takes care of that, but runs the team virtually on things. But over those years, guys, we've done a little over 3,000 deals, and done a couple deals there over those years. And one of the things that we've started adding in to our arsenal is looking at adding more on the land component of things. Okay. And that's really how Robin and I kind of connected on this and started building a relationship here. And on top of that, all the real estate side, something else we've done is we've been able to come in and be blessed enough to be able to do educational component too. And that's an area that I really enjoy sharing with people, helping them in their business. And one of the areas that we really specialize in is having investors learn a proven process for converting your seller leads on a very high level. Okay. And that's something that we're extremely good at. In fact, I just finished up the 2-day workshop Robin was asking me about before we jumped on here. I had a 2-day workshop in Columbus, Ohio. We just wrapped up, and it was my sales, based on my acquisitions boot camp that I do. And it was for 2 days, and we just basically showed people how they can become the best at converting their leads. Because we all know that leads are not cheap. We all spend a lot of money on leads really quickly, especially today compared to was years ago. I mean, it weren't, in the it was we compare things today, the cost of leads is crazy on things. So important to become very efficient at converting your leads on a very high level. And not only the conversion, but it's also extremely important to get to the point of creating bigger margins on a per deal basis. So you want to get extremely well at that. Okay. So, and guys, this is a process. And Robin invited me on here tonight to talk about this. And I'll share with you guys more on that, because once you learn this, it's pretty cool. And in fact, let me just ask you guys, how many of you feel like you're great at sales? How many of you feel like you're the salesperson? Anybody? Okay. All right. So that's
Everybody's just like, oh my God, like what is he
right.
asking me there, right?
Okay. You know what? I was hoping you guys would answer that way, because most people believe you have to be this rock star salesperson to go out and blow this business up on things. And that's the really furthest from the truth. The cool thing about it is you don't have to be a rock star salesperson. What you have to look at is a rock star sales process that anybody can step into. All you have to do is follow the process and continue to work it It's not something overnight, but you got to continue to work it and practice it. And if you do that on a regular basis, you'll see conversions really skyrocket. You'll see your margins go up, and you'll start seeing that you're making a lot more money and a lot faster on things. Okay. So,
You
and
know
that's
what I
what
what
we've
I
done.
really love about that, Jerry? Like what I love about your guys' system, and it's the REI Sales Academy, right? It's your
Mhm.
program, what you do. And what you guys do so perfectly is you conceptualize sales, right? So it's no longer this, oh my God, I know that guy and he's so good at sales. It's like something each and everybody of you can really learn, right?
100%.
It's a process to follow that probably I could get my mom into, right? Like to pick up the phone and follow that whole process. So let's get into the weeds. Let's really talk us through today a little bit. What does this process look like, right? I mean, we have a lead. The lead is inquiring. Maybe we start there, or do we want to start earlier? Where do we want to kick in?
Well, I think what we have to first of all look at is why do we even need a process, right? And I think that goes back to
Wait one
we did.
second, guys. Now is the moment where you want to pick up a pencil and like a piece of paper and pin everything down that this man is telling you. Okay,
Yeah,
so go ahead, Jerry.
yeah. No, I just saying. I think first of all we have to look at why we even need a process. So let me just ask you, and I want you guys to be interactive with me here some tonight. Okay. So first of all, let's look at this. Uh, how many of you guys have ever been out car shopping before? Anybody? Okay. You go to a car, right? You go to any type of dealership. You walk on that parking lot, and car person sees you out there, and then next thing you know, they're walking out, and they say, hey, Glenn, hey, Glenn, by the way, hey, what you looking for today? And you turn around and you say,
Looking.
I'm just looking.
Come you attitude,
Okay,
right? Like,
yeah,
yeah.
okay, but the okay, so think about that. Why do you say that? You guys, tell me. You
No,
guys
we
can
don't like
jump
to be
in here.
sold.
What's that?
We don't like to be sold anything.
Okay. We don't like to be sold.
To avoid the
So,
pitches here in the chat, right? Like, and that's
yeah.
the reality, right?
Okay. So why is it that you feel that way?
Yeah,
Too
sure.
aggressive. Too aggressive.
Too aggressive. Okay. So we feel like somebody's being too aggressive. So are we basically we're feeling pressure, aren't we? Okay. So we're feeling something called sales pressure.
I think we feel they want to sell us, but that's what we want. So it makes no sense.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So think about this. So what do we typically do in those cases? We actually mislead them, and we'll also just kind of gives little lies and stuff. Oh, I'm just looking. Um, I'm right now. I just started my shopping. Right? You want to. It's very uncommittal, completely on things, and that's all intentional on that. But the core is, but why is it that we act that way? That's what I'm trying to get at. Why is it
We
that
don't
we
we don't
react
trust
that way?
him.
We don't
We
trust
don't
them,
trust him.
right? But where did we
No
learn that
relationship.
from? We learn that from a lifetime of poorly trained salespeople. So all of you have been to sales training before. What your sales training is coming from and reacting to poorly trained salespeople and a very unfunctional, or I should say dysfunctional sales process. Because of that, that's why we react that way, guys. Okay. What happens when somebody calls you like in a cold call situation, try to sell you solar or something? How do you guys react on that?
Like, not interested.
Yeah, click, right? Okay. See, that's what I'm saying. You guys have to realize that the core thing is why we need a sales process that actually works is because we all been trained on dysfunctional sales processes our whole life. And we automatically react that way. We react that way just on perceived pressure. We believe. So do you think, guys, that your sellers can start feeling the same thing as you guys do when you go to car lots or have solar, or you're walking in a mall and you see a kiosk and they're starting to run over there to you, right? To try to sell you something. You guys, look, you're going to feel the same way. So why do we think the seller's going to be any different? They're not. So what we have to do is we have to learn how to do things properly by doing something in a way that actually reduces pressure, sales pressure, and basically aligns with the natural decision making process for someone to buy or sell something. That's the way that we ultimately will succeed on a high level. In fact, anybody here like to shop on Amazon? Okay. Who shops on Amazon? Any of you? Ladies, I know you all shop on Amazon. Okay. So, all right. So think about this. If you're shopping on Amazon, think about that process. What do we do? Pretty well 3 steps. You identify something that's, you either have a problem or you're looking at something that you're wanting to add, something to, in regards to helping you out in your life, or it's either a problem or you're some type of, added feature you want to bring in. So you basically, what do? You decide on that. Then you do your research, right? And should I buy this? Should I not buy this? And then you make a decision. Now, we do this all the time on things like just basically through Amazon. The thing is how can we do that so easily on Amazon, even buy bigger ticket items? Well, the reason that it makes it so simple for us to do that is because there's no salesperson interaction. Okay. So what we've learned from this, guys, and this is where I come from, and our whole sales process is designed around the psychology of sales. And it's not this hard pushing stuff that people come on, they're trying to like never say die type salespeople. Guys, that's old methods. It's dysfunctional, and you won't get very far on that. So, but if you look at that and you look how, if you step through the way you make a decision to do something on Amazon, that is your natural buying process. What if we turned around and took a sales process that we could work with sellers on and we mirrored it exactly the way human beings make decisions? And that's exactly what we've done in our academy, our sales academy, is we designed it that way. So what it does, it takes all the pressure out of things, and it's designed to basically walk someone through a process, and then we don't close them, they self-close. Okay. Now I can tell you in our sales academy of things, we're in a position where we have run around about 3,000 members in our academy, and our academy, sales academy, the process that we teach is known from pretty well to be the gold standard when it comes to real estate investors using our process, either themselves, if they're a solopreneur, or their teams that they build. And we have people all around the world using this. Okay. So the highest performing teams or individuals using process that's proven that creates repeatable results. So instead of beating yourself up that you're not a great salesperson, stop that junk and just focus on a process and become stronger at the process. And then you'll start converting your leads on a much higher level. Does that all make sense to you guys? Everybody with me on that? Okay. Is that a yes?
Who's excited about that? Like making your conversation with the seller is easy as an Amazon purchase, right? I will love that. So Jerry, just like keep rolling. When you have anything, guys, unmute yourself. Like you see, Jerry is like really like not just likable. He is also really like he wants to talk to you. So just be like open and just let's go.
Yeah,
Jerry,
cool.
roll us through. What
All
is
right,
the
sounds
secret
good.
sauce now?
Well, so let's jump into that. So I want to make sure you guys understand this. So what we have to look at is we have to look at there's some core components to all this. Okay. In fact, maybe I might share a slide if that's okay, Robin. Is that all right on
Yeah,
things?
Veroska, can you let Jerry share his screen?
Yes.
Okay. And she already asked us that, so she's going to clobber us, isn't she? Like,
Yeah. And I don't think we have
No.
anybody today. Like a couple, we expect somebody to share some porn, but I think nobody of these people here in that call would do that, right? Like so. Um, good.
yeah,
We
yeah.
trust you guys.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do is we'll pull this. Let me grab this here real quick. Make sure we're good. All right. So I'm going to jump right into this, guys, and I'm going to share something with you that is completely is some of you maybe heard something like this before, but what I'm going to share with you is completely different here for a lot of people, and it can cause some overwhelm because people feel like, wow, I've never heard it this way before. But we will go over this real quick. But I can say this, you know, remember, confusion, overwhelm is normal, but once you start using it, it starts to go away. Okay. So, all right. So let me just take a look at this here. All right. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go from this here. All right. So guys, this is basically, I already talked to you guys about what a dysfunctional sales process looks like, right? We already know that, but because we've been trained that way. So what we base everything on here, Robin, is basically upon the way human beings make decisions, okay, and mirrors the actual process that you guys make any type of decision when buying or selling something. So what we have to look at is, first of all, we have to get into the gate. So what do I mean by that? Well, let me ask you guys this. How many of you guys ever jump on a call with a seller lead on your land deals, and you start going on, start asking them questions about it, and they just turn around, they say something like, well, hey, Gene, how long is this call going to take? How long is this call going to take? Right? This kind of annoyed. Anybody ever run into things like that before? You feel the seller just kind of giving pressure, they feel the pressure on things. Okay. Well, that's because they actually feel that sales pressure. So what we have to do is we have to do something we call setting the stage first. Now, guys, this is what I'm showing you here is I'm going to kind of give you guys an overall review of this, but this is something I spent 2 days talking to people and training them on in my boot camp the other day. And also in my academy, I spent 12 weeks going over this with people. Okay. So I'm kind of give you guys the, higher view of things. The first thing we look at is something called setting the stage. Well, setting the stage, the whole purpose of this is what we do is we want to go in and we want to go in and basically relieve the sales pressure, because you guys already told me that you feel pressure on that, right? So we're going to go in and our goal is to relieve the sales pressure from people. That's right out of the gate that we want to do that. And I'm going to break this down for you guys. And I highly recommend, if you can take notes, that you do that. Okay. So first thing, how do we go through and do something called setting the stage? The way we set the stage, guys, is really three main components to setting the stage. It's three main components to this. The three main components that we use for setting the stage is number one, time. Okay. Some of you already said earlier, but just raise your hand that you've had sellers before say, hey, how long is this call going to take? Well, we're going to go ahead and break that down before we even go into our sales call. So we're going to set up the time. Okay. So some type of time frame. How long is this call going to take? Now, it could be a call. You could be in the field on appointment, but generally on land, it's most of the time it's going to be over the phone, right? So we're going to do that. So we're going to set some type of time. The second component to setting the stage is agenda. What are we going to do? Okay. Look, think about this. People feel pressure and they feel uncertainty is when they don't understand what's going to go on. So you have to set up the agenda. Okay. So your job is to give an agenda when it comes to that. All right. And I'll kind of frame it here for you and give you an example of that in a few minutes. So, second thing is given an agenda. What is this all about? What are we going to do here together? Right. The third component of setting the stage is an outcome. An outcome. So, we always want to give an outcome and basically let them know what should they expect at the end of a sales call. What's the next step? Okay. So when we do that, that's how we're going to get some of the best results. So what does that sound like in real life? Okay. Well, I could go along and let's just say, Robin, you could be my seller in this case. So the lead comes in, and basically, let's just say that whatever lead source it is, I'll say something. Hey, Robin. Hey, thanks for basically thanks for calling me back. This is Jerry Green. Hey, Robin, before we go forward here, I just like to make sure you have 15, 20 minutes.
I have,
Okay.
Jerry.
Okay. And what I'm going to do, guys, this is really important. In communication like this, first thing you have to do is something called the pause. So when I do that, I don't keep rambling on through my conversation. So I'm basically going to give Robin time to answer me. Okay. Because see, most salespeople, what they do is they just keep on going. So I'm going to say, hey, Robin, would you happen to have 10 to 15 minutes or whatever it is, 15 to 20 minutes? He says, yeah, I got that. Well, think about this. What if Robin says he doesn't have that time? Okay. Do you know what most people that are, not well trained in this business, what they do is they'll say, oh, okay, yeah. They'll start hearing the seller say something like, look, I just don't have that amount of time. Can you just send me an offer? Can you just send me an offer? So let's say you just do that. You just turn around and you shoot over an offer on things. If you just shoot over an offer, guys, you've basically pretty well just shot yourself in the foot, because the chances of you converting that are extremely slim, because you don't understand if you can even help them out at that point. So all you're doing is then you're in the business of just throwing out offers. Anybody can just throw out offers, guys. If you're just in the business of throw out offers, you're going to struggle on a high level in converting. So what we look at is we just don't throw out offers. We want to make sure somebody's ready to have an offer. Okay. So we got to make sure we do that. So you don't want to get in that position. So you can see that how important that is to check all these. So what does that sound like? Well, like I said to Robin, hey, do you have 15, 20 minutes? Right? Robin says, yeah, I do, Jerry. Okay, great. I pause, let him answer that. Then I'll say, hey, Robin, I'd love to talk to you about your piece of property you have. I'd like to find out a little bit about what's going on and why you might consider selling that property, if at all. And I just went over an agenda. Now I'm going to pause. If he says, okay, yeah, that sounds good, let him answer. Next thing I'm going to do is say, great, Robin, by the way, just so you know, Robin, at the end of this call, what I love to be able to do is help determine if, something that can help you out. And if we can get your property qualified for a number you're happy with and it works for us, I'd love to get the process started today. Okay. But Robin, just so you know, if it doesn't work out, I'm perfectly fine with that. In fact, let you know, Robin, a no is perfectly fine. And Robin, I just look at this. At least we gave it our best shot. Fair enough?
That's fair enough, Jerry. Know
Okay.
what I like about this? I learned a while back. I went through sales training, and they taught exactly that. And in the company I was working, I taught that to my people, right? Setting a stage, defining what you want, clear, like tell them, hey, this is what's going to happen. So you don't need to be scared. And then define an outcome, right? That could be, hey, like, let's make a decision together, or we will know where we're going from here. then they know exactly where they're going to, and they're
100%.
no longer in the unknown, right? And that's the power of that. And with this opening, and this is what I see too, and I agree with you. You have 2 ears and one mouth, right? Sometimes you just like need to shut your mouth and listening what comes from the other side, right? And this is what I really like about that, because now, and there's a second thing, and probably you speak about that in your training, is you are in control. Does that make sense? You set the stage, you set the agenda, and the other person feels comfortable to go with you, right? Because they feel heard and they're not scared. Where's this going? So, hey, keep rolling, Jerry. Sorry, I didn't want
Yeah.
to interact and
No, no, you're good.
interrupt and just take your flow away, right?
Yeah, no, you're good. In fact, I want you, before we move forward on this here, it's really important you guys understand that we as human beings in all different in situations outside of real estate, okay? And outside of real estate, we have to, and this is the way I teach things too, is because if I don't talk about some of these things outside of real estate, you won't know how to use them within real estate, okay? Because we have to compare it to everyday life. And if you ever get a message, and that message, I'm just writing this out here, and I want you guys to tell me. You can see a message like this. It says, "Can we talk?" You get a text like that. Okay. Somebody tell me. Somebody else come off the open up their mic. What does it make it feel like when you see this, something like that? Can we talk?
What's going on?
Okay. What's going on? Right. Okay. What else? What else does it make you feel like?
A little bit uncertainty.
A little bit of uncertainty. Okay. Cool. Anybody else?
About what are you wanting to talk?
Ah, okay. About what? Right. So all these are the feelings we have. This is, you guys are telling me that you have these feelings, this everyday life. So do you think a seller can have the same type of feelings when you're doing cold calling? The same type of feelings when you drop a piece of mail and all of a sudden you come into a conversation? They're feeling the same thing. So your job is to reduce that and eliminate that pressure and that feeling, even if it's just perceived pressure. Okay. So by doing that, we set the stage on things and it creates clarity. Even if I said, "Hey, Robin, can you do me a favor?" What Robin's going to say? Well, Jerry,
What is it about, right?
yeah, what's about? Okay. And I wonder if I had told Robin, no matter what, you got to do the favor. What kind of stress does that create? Stress? It does. He's uncertainty. He doesn't know if it's going to cost him something. Instead, what if I change it all around and say, "Hey, Robin, hey, by the way, I'd like for you to do me a favor, if you wouldn't mind. Dude, I'm going to this interview. I'm wondering if you could pick up my dry cleaning for me real quick, just as a friend. It's about 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back. Pick that up." So I just gave him the time. I told him the agenda. And by the way, the outcome is I'll throw you $20 in cash.
That's a good
Okay.
lunch.
All right. Yeah. So think about this. So just in that everyday situation right there, okay, I went from just telling him, "Hey, can you do me a favor?" and to try to force him to do that, compared to me becoming clear on it by time, agenda, and outcome. Boom, it reduces pressure. It makes him feel more comfortable about working with me. So guys, you got to look at your sellers the same way. Okay. You got to be able to enter that conversation, reduce that sales pressure. Now, here's the cool thing about it. If you guys start doing these things and you start to become very consistent with this, what's going to happen? You're going to find out you're going to be completely different than your competitors. Because the sellers, if they feel that pressure, they're going to tighten up. They don't want to share with people, and they don't want to do that. They're afraid, right? So your job is to open that up. Okay, is everybody with me on this? Okay, so that's the first thing we look at. The second thing we're going to really kind of move into is basically looking at the motivation and urgency on things, guys. So what do we do there? So really what we're looking at is, why would you take action? Okay. So this is really cool. So what we do on this area is basically this. In fact, I want you guys to jot this down. This area here, more than any other area of the sales process, is where your deals will be won or lost right here. Most critical area. Your deals will be won or lost in this area more than anything else. Okay? Because what we do in this area here, guys, is we come in and assess what is going on. We come and find out what's happening. We start understanding the why behind this. And when we can start doing that, then we can start doing something in a way of creating what we call a gap. A gap for somebody in regards to where they're at now to where they want to be. That's why most people in this business, most acquisitions people in this business really struggle with conversions, because what they do, as soon as they get on a call, they'll just turn around and ask somebody a little bit about the property, and then they'll go right into making an offer. Now, I want you, how many of you guys have ever been to a doctor before? Anybody? Okay. Every one of you, right? So let me ask you this. If you went to a physician and you go into their office and they say, hey, we're going to take you back to this exam room. So you go to the exam room, doctor comes in to check you out. And let's just say you're there and you got some, different symptoms going on, and you feel like there, because something may be serious. You're just not sure what's going on things. So the doctor comes in and checks you out and just does it in a couple minutes. And they say, hey, I think this is what you got. I'm going to go ahead and I think let me prescribe this to you. And that's it. And they're done and out of there. Okay. Now, you go to the front desk to check out. When you're checking out the front desk, you got this going on the back of your mind. And you're thinking, man, I just don't think they got it. I don't think they understood what was going on. So you leave that doctor's office, and then you start thinking that, I feel like I better get another opinion. Okay. Guys, I want you to really let this sink in. When you go in working with your seller leads and you turn around and you diagnose your sellers too soon, and the way we diagnose our sellers too soon is we offer too soon. They have nothing else to go on but shopping other numbers, because what becomes more important to them than anything else is price tag. So I have a little formula, Robin, that I share with people. And that little formula is this: no motivation, no gap equals no sale. The second part of that equation is this: with the absence of personal motivation, your seller only has one thing to go off of, and that is numbers. So what you guys have to realize is, in this area, as I mentioned, is one of the most critical parts of the entire sales process. As I said, your deals will be won and lost in this area more than any other part of the process. Okay. So what we have to do is we have to become very good at this. In fact, the highest performing teams in my training across the board, the teams that create the largest spreads, make the most amount of money, spend an average of 15 to 20 minutes just in motivation alone. Not even bringing up price whatsoever at all. When you
Let me jump into that real quick, right? What Jerry here really said is, this is what we see happen happening a lot, right? People try to make a donkey into a racehorse, right? This is what we see happening a lot because what he does here, what he gave you is the formula to see where's your seller at. Will every seller have a motivation, an urgency? No, some just want money. And here's where you already can start filtering, right? Like the absence of motivation is just like they look for the numbers. And this is important for you, how you gonna go in your follow-up right here, right? This is like where a lot of people like lose a lot of things because they focus on that people that don't have any urgency, that don't have any motivation right now to sell, that are not in the situation um, to try to find that. But in the end, they're just looking out for numbers, and this is where time is not really well spent, right? So
Yeah.
go ahead, Barry. I just wanted
No,
to
it's
point that out real quick.
yeah. Well, here's the interesting thing, Robin. Guys, I want you to think about on this too. Okay. If I had 100 leads come into my pipeline, okay, and let's just say 100 leads come in, how many of you those leads out of the 100 you think are absolutely slam dunk leads? Like people are extremely extremely motivated, very much in a critical situation. How many leads do you feel like they're that way out of 100?
5 to 10 is what I would guess.
Okay, on average about one.
David
Okay.
Moore, really good here. David Moore gets a star with his 1%, right? Like that's what it is, right?
Yeah, on average about 1 to 2. So let me ask you this, okay, do you want to build a business around just those people that are in a position where they're distressed and highly motivated? What you can, but it's going to be very tough to do that. Okay. So what you guys got to look at is this. See, the cool thing about understanding the motivation and creating urgency, it has nothing to do with where somebody's at on what I call the pain or the pleasure side of things. See, we all want the sellers that are highly distressed and highly motivated. Those, we know that they're out there, but they're tougher to find. So what if we instead use a sales process that's designed to assess where somebody's at? Then our goal is to create motivation. And we create motivation by painting something we call a picture perfect scenario on the other side. Because see, think about this. I could take somebody that's in a position where they are not distressed whatsoever at all, and I could do a proper sales process, get them to see their vision where they want out of this, and we can convert them over to a deal. See, we all picture, in fact, what we do typically as an investor, we all want these highly motivated people, and that's it. But what about all these people we classify as tire kickers? What if we could start converting a lot of your tire kickers? And you can easily do that, guys, if you start focusing on a process that's designed around that. Because again, it doesn't matter where a person comes in at on the what I call the pain or pleasure. If I looked at a little chart, it doesn't matter where they come in at. What it matters is we understand where they're at now and where they want to go. Okay. It's our job to be able to assess that. And then we do that, guys, by what we call questioning type strategies. And I'm going to give you guys those type of questions that are proven to produce the highest results. In fact, what I'm going to share with you guys, these type of questions are used by the top 3% of salespeople in every industry. And and it's also a tool used to measure somebody's sales maturity level. So these 3 things are what moves the needle. And these 3 things are what we call our PIP questions. Okay. So first one is P for problem. Okay. First one is problem. So what we have to do is we have to find out. We have to find out what's going on with Maria. We have to find out what's going on with Gene. We have to find out what's going on with Steve, right? We've got to go in and we got to assess this. So what do? We just simply ask a question. So a problem question is a question to assess what's going on. Like, hey, Robin, what made you contact us today? Or Robin, just curious, what made you consider selling your property? Or why you're selling? Just pretty simple things like that. It's just basically to open up the conversation, right? So now what I'm doing is assessing the problem. And for a lot of salespeople, what they do in this space is they come in, or investors, you guys come in and Robin might, somebody might say, hey, the reason I'm selling this piece of land is I just don't need it anymore. So you write that down and you say, well, that's their motivation. No, that's not actually their motivation. That's surface level. Okay. And guys, think about this. I always look at motivation this way. Surface level is like water skiing. You won't understand what's really going on by just skimming the water. But if you dive, you're going to know what's going on in that water. And that is the key to this, is we're going to go in and we're going to dive. We're going to really pull out what's going on. Okay. So the first thing we have to do is assess what's the problem. Why consider, what made you even call us today? All right. Second thing I'm going to look at is it's called impact. Now I'm going to come back to the impact here in just a minute. So first thing we look at is problem questions. Is everybody with me on this? Let me know. Okay. So I'm going to assess what's going on. Second thing I'm going to look at is I'm going to take you to the third question, and that's called picture perfect questions. Okay. So the picture perfect question is for me to come in and basically paint a picture of where you want to go. So I might come in and say, David, you mentioned that you just don't need this property anymore. You just don't want to deal with it. You're just tired of paying the taxes and stuff on it. You just don't want to deal with it anymore. Completely understand. David, I'm just curious, when you said that, that you don't want to deal with it anymore, what do you mean by that? Well, you start going on about, it's been a big stressor on things. I don't have the time to take care of it. Somebody's got to go out there and kind of mow at least the road portion of the land, and and I'm always have to pay taxes on it. So let me ask you, David, if you did sell this property, well, what would you do? Well, it'd just be nice to have it out of the way. What do you mean by that? Well, I'd like to have the money. Okay, so David, I was just curious, what are you going to do with the money? What would you do with the money, David? And he starts, well, I'm planning on using this as retirement and go down to Florida. Oh, okay, cool. So David, I'm just curious, where in Florida do you want to plan on going? Now, see, what I'm doing, guys, is I'm doing something called creating that gap. And I'm using these are tools, guys. Okay. And that's all you got to think about. These are tools that we use. And when I properly use these tools, I can get you to start visualizing, feeling the other side. I can start getting you to the point where you can start looking at this saying, hey, yeah, I do want to, that's exactly what I want to do. Okay. The more I can do that, the more I'm going to compel you to take action now versus later. And on top of that, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to compel you to work with me versus dealing with other people. Because what happens is the deeper I go on that, you build a stronger connection with me and you feel like I'm hearing you on things compared to some other investor that's coming in, just has somebody call up and just give them an offer. What did I do? Let's think about this. Let's go back to the doctor. Why did the patient seek a second opinion? Because they didn't feel like the doctor had done a proper exam and they didn't feel good about that and comfortable. So here's what I'm going to tell you guys flat out. If you lead with offers on your sales calls and you jump right into giving offers, you're going to leave a ton of deals on the table, because what you're doing, you're making a diagnosis before you've done a proper exam. And what's going to happen is the seller, instead of going out and where they go out and get second opinion, their way of getting a second opinion is getting additional offers. So the more you can get focused on solving their problem, understanding that, creating the picture perfect scenario, you do something, guys, of creating what we call creating the gap. So it's where somebody's at now to where they want to be. And the cool thing about it, guys, that seller doesn't have to be extremely motivated. They could come in, be classified as a tire kicker, but if you get really good at painting a picture perfect scenario for them and you build that gap, that compels them to act now versus later. And the best salespeople in the world understand this. What I'm sharing with you guys is strategies that can be used in any industry at all. But in our business, guys, this is an extremely powerful way of doing this. Okay. So, and it's all about those three types of questions. You got problem. Okay. And then you got picture perfect. Then we got impact. And then what is impact? Impact questions are used to dive deeper into the problem and the picture perfect. So if I was looking at a chart, the picture perfect and the problem questions would be on top. The impact is underneath. And in fact, there was we done a study on this here. And this study was out of the top salespeople, Robin, in the world. And I'm talking some salespeople that commission only, making in excess of $1 million a year just in commission. The one type of question they use more than anything else is impact. Okay. So what do we have to do on that? Is basically the purpose of impact is to expose the real motivation and dive deeper into it. Okay. And also expose more of their picture perfect scenario and why they want it so bad. So all I got to do is, and if I start doing this, then it becomes a really powerful tool. So I might be working with Robin, and Robin says, well, we were just thinking about selling here. My wife and I we're not really sure. And I might say something, well, Robin, hey, I'm just curious. When you say you guys aren't really sure, what do you mean by that? Okay, so that's an impact. Then Robin will say, well, it's just something we've been tossing back and forth, and we got a postcard. Wow. So, and we just thought, if we could do it, we could get some extra money on things. Well, just curious, Robin, is that a big deal to you or a little deal? Well, I don't know. I guess it could be a big deal to us if we can get the right amount of money. When you say the right amount of money, I'm just curious, what do you mean by that? Is there something that you're kind of thinking about on things? Okay. Well, yeah, see how I can expand that, guys? Now, I'm giving you guys here my entire sales training here, overview of something I train people on over 12 weeks or a full 2-day workshop. So, Robin, this is kind of the 30,000 foot view.
I think it's impressive. Who does give some kudos, just to rethink that process takes away a lot of pressure, and it's like talking to a friend suddenly, right?
100%.
Because they reveal to you what it is. And we have already 5:57. Do you have 10 minutes more time, Jerry? Can we run 10 minutes over?
Yeah,
or are you...
yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So what I'll do is I'll kind of summarize this a little bit more here. Okay.
Let's do it.
And,
let's wrap it a little bit up to the down. And I know you can talk days about that.
Oh,
right?
dude,
this weeks,
is
right?
Yeah.
This is what you love that, right? This is
okay,
what I love.
So let's just say
you,
we
right?
get people, they feel like they're like, man, I really want this. I want to get rid of this land. I want to move here. I want to do this with this money. Now typically what happens is then a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll go right into making an offer, right? And then you hear stuff like, let me think about it. Or, I got to run that by my brother. Or my cousin's a real estate agent. I'm not real sure on things, right? So those are called objections or deal killers. So what we train you guys how to do is we train you to remove the deal killers before you even talk numbers. So we're going to proactively bring those up. So it might sound something like this. Hey, Anthony, look, we buy properties all the time on things here. We're always buying land somewhere or another. And one thing that we learned over the years on things, Anthony, is sometimes things can come up that might delay or keep us from closing it all. Would it be okay if we go over those things now so we don't have to deal with them later?
Sure.
Okay. So what I do, I just open the door up to go over the deal killers. Okay. So I'll just give you guys the 4 most common deal killers. Okay. Number 1 is money. Okay. But one deal killer is money. Second deal killer is other options, like listing the property or maybe developing it themselves. Okay. Another third other deal killer is other influencers. And I'm not talking about somebody just on title. I'm talking about that person that's getting their ear. That could be anybody. Okay. Other influencers. And then the 4th common deal killer is risk and discomfort. Okay. That's the 4th common one. So what we do is we can go through and ask different types of questions, guys, to eliminate those. And here's the interesting thing. Okay. So studies have shown us that 85%, up to 85% of all deal killers can be eliminated simply by discussing them. Okay. So let me ask you guys this. Somebody jump in and tell me, when would you rather deal with the deal killers? Before you make an offer or afterwards and go into chase mode? When would you guys rather do that?
As early as
Before.
possible.
Yeah, before. So the best people out there understand that. And that's why they close more deals than anybody else, because they eliminate these. Okay. So now the final step we go to, guys, is basically here's how I can help you achieve, okay, your motivation. Why I'm still dealing with deal killers here. But what we go to is it says the close. Now, here's the cool thing about it. When you hear the close, the first thing you think is, I got to close the seller. But in our process, what we learned is if you get really good at this, what happens is if you do step 1, 2, and 3 correctly, seller's already closed. Only thing we're closing, we're not closing the seller on step 4, we're closing the process. Okay? Because when we do it right, people will self-close. Okay? Now, and I know we're kind of, I'm going through this, guys, really fast on things. Okay? But what I'm telling you guys on this here is that your key to converting your leads on a very high level, and I want you guys to really think about this, is it's not about being forceful. It's not always about generating more leads. It's about getting better at converting your existing leads. And when you can do that, guys, you'll see your business blow up. Okay. You will crush your competition when it comes to this. So again, it's about setting that stage. Number 1, 2, opening things up. And that setting a stage reduces sales pressure, opens things up for open and honest communication. Step 2, we go in, we pull out motivation, and then we paint a picture perfect scenario, and we create urgency for people to act now versus later. And then we understand how to overcome objections to the deal killers by bringing them up now versus later. And the interesting thing, guys, as we go through this whole thing, is anytime anybody gives us pressure, like resistance, we do something where we call the pullback, the takeaway on things. And there's like 3 or 4 different tools that we can use, but jot this down too. Your job is to always move a seller towards a no. And you think, what in the world is Jerry talking about?
No, I love that.
Your goal is to always move your seller towards a no. Anytime I get any resistance, I just pull it back. And if somebody comes along, well, can't you just get me an offer, Robin? Can't you get me an offer? You know, Robin, I'm not even sure we can give you an offer this time. Why just want an offer? You know, Robin, it sounds like to me, maybe it sounds like to me, Robin, that you're probably looking at just getting the most amount of money on your property. And Robin, if you're just looking at getting the most amount of money for your property, you know, we're probably not a good fit. Okay. If you want a smooth transaction, something quick and very easy on things, that's us. But if you're just looking at getting the most money, you're probably better off listing the property or developing it yourself. In fact, if you'd like, I give you a free report on how to develop a land. I'll send it over to you. It's about 20 pages, but I can shoot it over to you. You get more than welcome to use it. Okay. You see how I'm pulling back constantly on that. Here's the cool thing about it, guys. When you learn this, think about this. When you tell people they can't have something, what about toddlers? You tell them you don't want, they can't have something. What do they want? They want it more, right? Teenagers, spouses, okay? All of that, it's the same way. So what we do is we use this all to our benefit. Now, the last part of things on that close, there's multiple steps involved in that. Just for time's sake, though, I'm going to give you one quick thing that is one of the most powerful tools that you'll learn on the close. Okay? And that is this. We never ask a seller, what are they asking for a property? I never bring that question up. Okay? Because we use something called price anchoring instead. Okay? How many of you guys like to shop at a department store? Any of you? Okay. You go
I'm a
into
victim.
Okay. So you go in the department store and you see this sign that says that you see these shoes that you really like, these tennis shoes or whatever they are. Okay. Or maybe it's a purse. And you see the sign that said this purse is valued at, let's say, $1,000, or these shoes are. And then they showed it that they had marked them down already to $600. But today or this weekend, you can pick them up for $199. Okay. What that store did, and millions of dollars to spend on, that store price anchored you. Do you think we can do that in reverse to a seller? 100%. So what we're doing, guys, is this. We're controlling things instead of a seller. Because when I ask a seller, what are you asking for your property? Typically, what they're going to do, especially nowadays, they can just look on their phone, do some research, whatever. They can fire this number. When they fire that number to you, guess what? They just price anchored you. So what we're going to do is we're going to use it in reverse and price anchor them. Now, here's guys, another quick tip here. Jot this down. Please write this down. Is a price anchor is not your offer. A price anchor is not your offer. It's nothing more than a comparison number. Think about this. When the store went in, when you go into that store and they had that product that says it's $1,000 value, that's not what you're buying it at. So they're using it as a comparison number. So what we do as a price anchor, we use it as a comparison number. So it might go something like this. I might come in and say, hey, Gene, I know you talked, it sounds like, that land's been in your family a long time. And I know you really want to kind of get rid of it on things. And Gene, I would love to be able to be at 150,000 for those acres, but I know that's something you would never consider. And by the way, Gene, that's not my offer either. And I'll just go quiet. Because what I've done is I just reset the price that she might have been thinking. I just reset it in her mind without ever making her an offer. And that's the power of price anchoring, guys. And it is a extremely powerful tool. You can use it with land, you can use it with buying houses, whatever you do. Okay. So Robin, that is kind of that is like the speed version, guys, on this side of things. Okay.
And I love it. I made like I think 12 pages of notes, right? Like who else did some notes? Is anybody else here doing some notes on that? I think that was a lot of great stuff because in the end, right, we build relationships too, and people love to talk about themselves, right, all the time. So just get them together, make them what I like about this process is that they feel understood, right? This is what
100%.
it is. They feel understood. And when you feel understand, you build a level of trust because in the end, we're in the relationship business here too, right? They need to trust in you that you make that happen. And this is what you do by listening to them. You build a lot of confidence that they put in you in this process. And this is where you're a master at. Guys, if you ever want to go through this 12 weeks with Jerry, I put the link in the chat. It's reisalesacademy.com, right?
Yeah, you can just you can go in there if you guys can just click on the link that says the Academy. You can book a call with me and we can talk. So
And that's I mean, you have like really high level people. Who knows Ryan Pineda, for example? I think he's a customer of yours, right? Like you have really like he trained the A's and A plus investors in the country, and they all use his systems. This is why I wanted to bring Jerry in here, just like to give you a general understanding what is it about. And Jerry, thank you so much for like really spending 70 minutes with us, right? Like on teaching that because this is like a lot of pure juice and hopefully you can make a lot of sales happening with that, right? And with that said, I don't know if you have another 5 minutes where we could do a little Q&A. If somebody
yeah,
has
I don't
some
care. I'm
questions,
good.
fire it out. Like I have 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes time. So let's rock and roll if you want. Now you have the chance to talk to Jerry. Not many people get the chance so often, right?
So yeah, I'd be glad to help. Fire away, guys.
By the way, everybody's still blown away, right? Like this is what it is. And like, oh my God, what shall I ask now?
You're all thinking,
There
man,
was
I'm
a
ready.
there was a question in the chat, right, from David, right, like earlier, and he said, "Hey, when the seller says I don't know anything about my land, it was just inherited, like just make me an offer.
Okay.
What would you do?"
Well, he says, I have any idea or any information about my land. Well, think about it. What happens on that, guys, anytime anybody says something like that, that becomes what we call a form of resistance. Okay. So when people bring up resistance, we bring out our tools. And one of our tools is we do a gentle pullback. Okay. Or if they come out and they're very aggressive, we'll do what we call a takeaway. And we'll just call it a no on things. Okay. On things. Now, if we upset somebody during that time, even though we might not intentionally do it, we'll always take the blame. Okay. So if somebody does, hey, I don't even know anything about it, just make me an offer. I might say something along the lines of, Robin, I feel so bad. Dude, I'm so sorry. I feel like I really upset you. And that's totally my fault. In fact, I feel like a real idiot, Robin, for doing that. I completely understand if you just want to, if there's no consideration to work with me anymore about that, I wouldn't blame you one bit. Now, what'll
That's what
happen
it
on
is. And what you do is that you take all the pressure away, right? Like
yeah,
you probably make them smile. Oh no, Jerry, sorry, I didn't mean it like that, right? Like,
right. And then
uh,
what'll happen is I get you to feel for me, and then you'll re-engage the sales process over again. Okay.
that's what it is. About emotions, and you never know when you have somebody on the phone. How was their day like? What happened in their life today, right? Like there
Yeah.
can always be something that you just call like on a bad point of time, and they just had a discussion with their boss, and their wife called in, and they just got blamed from 5 people, and they just want to steam off a little bit, right? Like and that's a chance for you. Let them steam off. Let them talk with you. And once you
That's
have
and
them talking,
yeah,
and they feel understood again, you're back in the loop, right? This is what it is. So it's really about building these relationships, right? Like, and everybody's talking about that, but how do you do that? Not with pressuring making offers. Just have conversations like having conversations with a friend, right?
yeah.
Like when a friend is coming to you with a problem, you want to help them solve that, but what you do first is understand the problem, right? And then help in your best interest that you can. So do the same thing here, right?
And Robin, one of the big things too, I just want to share with all of you guys on here. Some of you might not be, you think, well, I'm not that salesperson. Remember, it's not about you being the salesperson. Okay. And also, don't worry about, well, I'm an introvert on things. Who cares? Let the process carry the weight. Let the process carry the weight of things. You become focused towards that. And here's another thing I'm going to tell you too. Okay. People come to me all the time and I hear this. They go, oh, I just want the scripts. I want scripts and scripts. Scripts mean nothing unless you understand how to use them properly. Okay. That'll be like Robin give me a welding torch and say, here's Jerry, use this welding torch. I would have no idea. And the chances are, if I use it, I'm going to burn my house down. And see, what happens is a lot of investors go into sales calls and they take a script and they don't know how to understand the why or the how to use it, and they burn down the sales call.
This is what it is. I love that. I love that. Jerry, when you guys don't have any questions, I thank you a lot. I think that was a beautiful session. Like there was so much input. That was almost a coaching call, right? And I love that when you have something to think about to take home. Jerry, thank you again for your time. And guys, thank you for staying on with us
Yeah.
for like 75 minutes now. Thank you for your time. I see everybody next week, probably. I don't know who we have next week, but it will be similar. Oh, Gene has a question. Like, Gene, come on.
No,
We have
I
one more
don't. I was
question.
just gonna say bye. See ya. Thank you.
Hey guys,
Thank you, Gene. Gene is,
I'm
yeah.
going to do something for you guys here because this is, with a small group, I don't mind doing this, but I'm going to do something here. And if any of you guys need something here or just want to say, hey, Jerry, I'd like to learn more about what you do and so forth on things, I'm going to drop this in, and I just dropped in my cell number. You guys can just text me. Okay.
And he replies in minutes. I don't know like how many messages he writes a day, but like he's like always on top of things, guys. Take that offer. Thank you so much, Jerry. We're really honored to have you had on our call. And I can just like really, really say our team is starting there with a couple of people on our team. Steve is here. He's one of our acquisition reps, right? Like, thank you for that. And guys, have a great day. Have a great weekend. Digest a little bit on that. And I hope you can get a couple of more closings done with that little framework Sherry shared today. And have a great day. Have a good time. Take down, I give you like one more minute to take down that phone number, right? And when you're done with that, then we're going to close this off and have a good evening, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. A pleasure having you guys on.
God bless.
And,
Thank you. Bye bye.
yeah. Yep.
Have a good night, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.